How do I encounter a Skinwalker, /x/? Just make up a story like everyone else here. Go to the middle of the desert. Eat peyote. Sit down, drink water and wait. Firstly you need these items. Candles. Tent. A cutthroat razor. A large sack, burlap or cloth. A length of rope, over 15 m. White chalk soaked in animal blood for 14 days, allow chalk time to dry normally 12 days. A small animal such as a cat or dog. Red string, a lot of red string. Measuring tape. Next you need to find a location similar to this. Large forested area a good few miles from civilization. Now ensure you have everything ready to go, best to prep the site in advance. Prep. Locate a section of forest that is at least 15 minutes walk from any possible exit. This spot must also be at least 20 minutes walk from the nearest path. Once you find this spot, take your red string and mark a tree roughly in the middle. Using the measuring tape, take the string and measure out a line that is roughly 20 feet and tie the string off to the next tree. Work in a rough circle, tying the string around each tree you pass until you reach the first tree you tied it to. Memorize this location. Use the red chalk to mark the trees with letters. Closet's tree to the circle must be marked with Q, then work your way back round until you reach Q again. With the area prepped, wait 3 to 4 days, get everything you need and head out to your location. Now you must look out for these signs. Take note of the letters on the trees. If they have been disturbed, then you must rewrite them as you pass. Walk the red string circle once. If it is intact all the way around, then you may as well head home. If the letters have been disturbed and the string is broken, fix the letters and fix the string. Set up your tent as close to the center tree you can. Set up the candles around the center tree, no less than 4, no more than 9, and light them. When the sun begins to set, use the cutthroat razor to trim away fur from the cat or dog. Nape of the neck is best, yes, this part must be done on site. Burn the fur on each candle in order of closets to your tent around. Release the animal and head inside your tent. Set the sack outside the tent with the rope and close the tent. It's your choice if you sleep or stay awake, but you need to make as little noise as possible and have no lights in the tent. If you stay awake, prepare yourself for the most scary thing you've ever seen. Remember, do not attempt to interact with the Skinwalker. Turn on any light source. Make a loud noise. Leave the tent before dawn. Unzip the tent through the night. Now if you have done all this, then remain as quiet as you can. Once everything becomes dark outside, you'll firstly hear noises such as scraping. It will be faint and distant and may be hard to hear. The noise will grow closer. This can take anywhere between 1 to 2 hours before it ends, but do not leave the tent. Next you may hear a muffled shuffling just outside the tent, like something being stuffed into a bag, followed by some strange animal noises. These can range from dying animal sounds, odd sounding growls, whispers, distorted speech, distant cries for help, several different types of laughing. These sounds will last for up to an hour, but do not react at all. After this you should see what looks like a distorted person or possibly crawling animal very close to your tent. If it begins showing interest in your tent, such as scratching, poking or sniffing at it, then close your eyes and keep your head down. This may take between 30 minutes up to 1 hour, sometimes longer. But once this is done, you'll hear the creature run away into the distance. This is an important part. Do not leave the fucking tent. Close your eyes and count. Once you begin reaching around 25 to 2,700, it should be safe. You may now sleep peacefully or wait till sunrise without incident, as long as you stay inside the tent. Once the sun rises, you can safely leave the tent. Keep your eyes low and do not look up into the trees. You will now see the sack tied and soaked in blood. Inside will be whatever animal you took with you inside. If the sack is empty, then leave as soon as you can. Do not dawdle and do not run, but leave quickly. If the sack is full, do not open it. Now examine the candles around the center tree and look for the least melted one. From this point head out to the outer ring of string. If it is broken at this point, then leave as quickly as you can. Follow the string around until you find the break. Now head back to the candle tree and take note of how melted the candle is. If it is almost gone or less than halfway, you should be fine. If it is more than half, then leave. If the string was broken in a different place and the sack is full and the candle is melted more than half, you are safe. Pack up, leave the sack and head back to the letter marked trees. Take note of which letters remain, but do not fix any of the removed letters and just head home. If the letters remaining were at least 3 apart, I.E. A was fine. B, C was disturbed. D was fine. Then you met a docile skinwalker, rare, but these are the curious type that follow campers. There was a gap of 5 or more, then you met a peaceful skinwalker. This kind are the ones that stay out of sight and make noises. If the disturbance of letters was erratic, then it was a typical skinwalker, not violent but not docile. If every letter was disturbed, then you met the violent kind. These are the skinwalkers that will integrate into groups of hikers, of campers, for the sole purpose of killing or feeding. You got lucky, you survived. If you didn't follow any of the safety instructions or attempted to leave the tent, make a noise, etc., then you're most likely dead. So yeah, if you had any instance where I told you to leave quickly, then leave. If you don't, you're dead. Fucking with skinwalkers is dangerous, and they will only come if there is 2 or less people only, so groups won't be able to use this method. Good luck, Anon. Would you mind telling us how the fuck you know this? Found a guide on an old .net text site from back in the early web days. Me and a friend decided to try it out. Put it this way, he tried opening the tent, I cowered like a pussy. I'm still here. He went missing almost 20 years ago now. I don't know, I am a Plains tribe, Southern Arapaho to be exact. Different tribes have their own customs and beliefs. My best guess is something that it could use to survive, like a blanket, serape, Mexican blanket, a cast iron pot, something you would take camping with you. Like I said, I don't really know much, just what I have heard from other natives. What happens if I shoot at the skinwalker? How much do you know about these things? What are they? The one we saw was easily 6 to 7 feet tall, being 12 at the time. It was terrifying. As for shooting it, feel free to try, but they are very fast, so I guess you'd get 1 or 2 shots before it fucks you up. These things are excellent climbers and tend to hide up in the trees. Do you know what they are or where they're from? No idea, I'm afraid.
Don't know if this goes in /fit/ or /x/. Waitevs, here's the story. It's fucking long, but bear with me. Friend not in the story tells us about place to get palm readings. Lifting buddy and I go to get palms read. Show up to this shady ass place at 10 in the morning wearing our workout gear. Ghost bitches already mirrorin'. Stereotypical scraggly gypsy woman shakes our hands and seats us at the table with a crystal ball. Asks who wants to go first. Hispanic heritage kicks in and I nope at the last minute. Friend chads up to the plate. Woman grabs his hand. He flexes slightly. Woman goes from smiling to horrified. Starts grabbing and studying his hand like a last will. Feelin' weird, man. Tells my friend he's got something following him. Ask him if he did any Ouija voodoo bullshit. Says he smashed a hole in the wall when he was drunk lifting it home. Says there was some type of decorative skull behind it that he now uses as decoration in his bedroom. Gypsy lets us leave without paying. At the gym 30 minutes later. Spotting friend while he benches. Some nibble dumbass is curling next to us. Like no joke, 6 inches away from us. Dude slips up and swings a 20 he's holding at friend's head. Throws the bar up and ducks just in time. Almost impale myself trying to catch the bar. Nibble apologizing while friend gets back up and I'm shitting myself still. Tell friend he should go home. Friend looks unfazed and wants to continue. Leave to Abuela's sister's house to get some sage and silver. Go back to gym and give it to friend. Next day. Friend looks happier than normal. Tells me some shit went down at his house. Says the power was dead even though his bills were paid and rest of neighborhood had power. Heard rattling of silverware. Uses flashlight app to see. Saw a silhouette of someone crawl under the kitchen counter. Nothing under the counter, not even shelves. Friend doesn't believe in Ouija shit and believes it's an intruder or animal. Friend grabs his pull-up bar and gets ready for sweet/fit/justice. Yells obscenities while patrolling his house. Says he sees what looks like a small humanoid crouched in his weight room. Gives zero fucks and tosses the pull-up bar at the window. Shatters like lanklet kneecaps squatting. Thing nowhere in sight. Friend then starts to consider Ouija shit. Calls other friend for advice. Our lifting group has some odd characters. Johnny answers and tells him to burn the sage and carry the silver. Says he'll be by with some holy water. Drops it off. I'll call my grandmother tomorrow to help, she's one of the medium people. Friend sits down on his couch while the house smells like old. Watches American Dad. Looks at the sage. Dried up and out. Goes to his pocket for the silver. Fucking melted. Instead of warm it was cold. Starts to see something dart back and forth across the room. TV goes off and static comes on. Says high-pitched screaming fills the house. Friend gets mildly annoyed. Walks over to the weight room and smashes the skull against the wall in a fluid motion. Like imagine walking into a room, tipping over a vase, then going back to doing what you were doing. He did that except threw a skull against the wall. Says house shook, screaming got higher then stopped. Lights go off again. Hears numerous footsteps getting closer to him. Tells me he's mildly freaked out at this point. I'm very concerned that he said mildly. Says he doused himself in holy water and started swinging as hard as he could into the darkness. Only hears the wind breaking on his fists. Says he heard the footsteps getting further away from him. Screams nuh-uh. Starts running around his house and swinging in the darkness. Fucks up his living room in the process. Tells me he swears he made contact with something fleshy a few times. Doesn't remember falling asleep. Wakes up and goes to the gym to tell me this the next day. Friend goes outside to make frequent calls throughout his routines. Ask him if he's trying to get in touch with a priest. Tells me he's been calling his home phone and leaving angry voice messages for the ghosts. Sells he would buy a snake just to flatten it out with a rolling pin until it dies. Friend goes home again. Fast forward a few days. Looks completely normal. Ask Johnny if lifting buddy was alright. Tells me it's disturbing how well he is handling the situation. Says he went to lifting buddy's house to check up on the sitch. Feels a presence but it feels scared. Lifting buddy walks out of his bathroom naked. Wiping his ass with a Ouija board towel. Throws it on the floor and kicks it into the living room. Pours more holy water on it then takes it outside to burn it. Asks friend as he is hungry. Sure. Says he pulls out an opened Ouija board he bought at Spencer's and uses it as a fucking cutting board. Says he repeatedly stabbed the cutting knife into the board when he was not using it. Breaks the board in half after he's done chopping up tomatoes and throws it in the trash. Washes his hands then pisses in the trash can. Even I think this is disrespecting the spirits too much. They both eat grilled chicken salad then Johnny leaves. Says on the way out lifting buddy goes into the lifting room and puts another crucifix on the wall. I'm putting Jesus on this wall and I'll be back to fucking masturbate on my bench press while thinking about Lucifer's whore daughter punches a hole in the wall before leaving. Johnny calls his abuela that night. Abuela goes to lifting buddy's house with a priest the next day. Says her abuela and priest were also amazed/disturbed with how lifting buddy is fighting the situation. Priest actually cowered and mired lifting buddy pissing naked on the satanic Bible he bought at some shady bookstore. Tells priest he walks around naked a lot lately and talks shit about Satan. Priest leaves before cleansing. Abuela stays to do her medium thing. Tries to contact the spirits. Says it was a group of entities that were very pissed that their shrine was disturbed. Tells her that they have no power since lifting buddy isn't remotely scared of anything they've done. Lifting buddy walks back into weight room with a dead snake. Abuela says the entities scatter like roaches. Check out what I found on the street this morning. Takes a bit out apple, a fucking dead snake. Throws the snake on the floor. Puts holy water and salt on it. Kicks it into the carpet a few times before peeling it off and throwing it into the trash can in the kitchen. Abuela is WTFing at this man's mental strength or ignorance. Tries to contact the spirits again. They keep running from her. Finally talks to one. Says they are scared of lifting buddy. Ghosts. Are scared. Of my bulky friend. Abuela asks what could make them pass on. Says they did black magic to get revenge on some asshole landlord from way back when. Says they had incriminating shit to shame his family within the wall with the skull. Abuela tells Lifting Buddy what he needs to do. Lifting Buddy goes into the weight room. Makes the hole in the wall bigger by throwing a 15 through the wall. Finds a folder with records of some sort. I'm not lying about any of this, I swear, and especially this next part. Lifting Buddy flips through the papers, then wipes his balls with it. Abuela, horrified, crumples them up and throws them into the corner of the room. Tells the spirits to piss off, then punches another hole in the wall. Total of 13 holes at this point. Abuela says, "May go have mercy," in Spanish, then leaves. Goes back to Lifting Buddy's house a month later. Immediately goes to the weight room. More holes than wall, destroyed AF, but like Halo descending from the heavens, the bench press and squatting rack are still there. Tries to contact spirits. Nothing. Smiles and asks my friend if he did what needed to be done. Again, not lying about any of this. Tells Abuela he uncrumpled the papers and got the address of this bastard. Papers were only from 60 years ago, so the guy was still alive, just old as dust. Finds the address of this guy in some sort of mansion. Knocks on the door wearing a Get Swole You Must Star Wars Yoda tank top, board shorts, pink sunglasses, and a backwards Chicago Bulls snapback. Johnny said Lifting Buddy went into a lot of detail about his wardrobe for this. Some scrawny white guy in his mid-30s opens the door. Lifting Buddy holds out the papers and asks for the person in the paper's name. "Hey, Dad. Someone's here to see you. He has documents." Lifting Buddy lets himself in and finds the old man in his studies. "Who are you?" Notices the papers *W, "Where did you get that?" Old man tries to grab at the papers. Lifting Buddy punches the old man in the face. Dentures fly out. Says it was like some shit out a movie. Crouches in his face and sets the old man straight, Sherlock Holmes style. Guy's son runs in and jumps on Lifting Buddy's back. Lifting Buddy stops mid-sentence, lets the guy down, then gut punches him until he hobbles out of the room and pukes in the hallway. Tells the old man to set shit right or he will be back for blood. Leaves. Fast forward a couple days. Various cars outside of Lifting Buddy's house. Thinks the old man brought some friends and grabs his pull-up bar. Walks outside in his tank top and house shorts. Various families are thanking him and giving him home-cooked foods. Thank him for getting their grandparents' properties back. The documents were apparently deeds swindled out by the old man. Families say the whole "we'll never forget you" spiel and leave. Friend looks into the Tupperware. Nothing but calories and carbs, cookies, briskets, gumbo. Throws it all away and goes back to lifting in his weight room. Pick for shirt. See old man's name in the news a few days later. Apparently he was hated by the community for being a dick. Somehow only heard about him now. New doesn't disclose how he died. Don't know if it was from Lifting Buddy doing more damage than he thought, the ghosts getting their revenge, or natural causes. Hasn't had any paranormal problems since then except for one. Says he went to the kitchen for a late-night non-cheating snack and saw full-body apparitions. They smiled at him. Says he grabbed an apple, head nodded while taking a bite, and walked away back to his bedroom. He stops halfway and tums around. Holy fuck, you guys were real? Spirits fade while smiling. Lifting Buddy goes to sleep. Lifting Buddy still lifts and does inane shit like he always does. No one fucks with him since the ghost puncher incident. Abuela Myers every time she's around him. And I think the priest told his priest buddies / church because everyone mires and cowers in grace twice as hard when they are around him. Again, none of this was made up. No walk the dinosaur tent shit. My friend legitimately beat up a bunch of ghosts.
Help my fuck, I've got one from just last year. B23. Stalking Innawoods, Arkansas Ozarks, with some new gear I'd been saving for months. Boots, tuck vest, my fuck even a milsurp gas mask. It was like Christmas. Being where I was, and wanting to field test some personal prototypes, I had my nugget on hand. Wouldn't do much against the big bears, but it'd ruin any snake/stray dog/cougar's day right to hell. Had a couple strippers and 2 clipazines I built and wanted to field test in my pouches, some rolled up targets stuck in my loops, and a light complement of survival gear, compass, topo map, thermal blanket, spare undies, extra bulel, MREs, canteen, and camelback, amphetamines, bug spray, rope, spikes, mallet, e-tool, shower powder, baby powder, TP, the works. I've done nothing heretical to my nagant, I swear. Clipazines are what I call the jerry-rigged magazines I'd custom built from old cannibalized mags and sheet metal. They fit right onto any nugget's feet if you pull the floor plate out. I've also done some Heinlein-esque mods to my gas mask, an airtight, at least now water feed. But I digress. Invasion. Basically practicing for the inevitable commie/capitalist/Jew/Goyim/Beaner/Cracker/Chinese/Korean/Canadian/Chlorin. I was having a fucking great time romping around the woods, playing with my FOV in the mask, testing the reliability of the clipazines, generally having fun. I wandered next to a creek bed and decided it was time to practice my guerrilla tic-tacs. It was late summer/early fall, so no danger of getting my gear wet in the non-existent stream. Shit was in more danger of water damage from my sweat. After triple checking my safety, I proceeded to do a series of scree slides and uphill hustles in full survivalist gear. Needless to say, I got winded right quick. I stood panting in that dry stream bed and decided to check my position with my topo map and compass so I could set a course for home. In the middle of orienteering myself, I caught wind of a smell. In for blood and Cooper it wasn't. At first I assumed it was sweaty famunda, but the funk quickly evolved into something fucking worse. A dark undercurrent of rot, deep notes of animal musk, a bassy score of raw garbage punctuated by garlicky timpani, and a thick black score of something between skunk and rotting onion sludge, a symphony of stench. And the conductor decided to skip the adagio and drive the opening movement straight into the scherzo because that shit was getting stronger. I went into STR8 operating mode, popped an addy from my pouch for extra focus, pulled the clipazine TM from my nugget. It seemed to be working fine, but if I was gonna have to shoot something, I'd prefer not to have any risk of jamming. I gagged and nearly puked up that addy tab. The smell was that strong at this point. Whatever the source was, it was definitely mobile and getting closer. Fuck it, I pulled my mask up from around my neck and pulled it over my face. It helped slightly, but my fucking dumb-ass waterline wasn't 100% airtight around the joint. I walked cautiously and slowly along the creek to where the slope was shallowest, listening for twig snap or animal sounds from above. I definitely heard something shuffling around up there, and it sounded bigger than what my nugget was up for. It was a near constant snuffle grunt, and sloppy, uncoordinated crunching around bark and leaves. That mixed with the smell and mind immediately jumped to Big Bear. Rabid Big Bear. Let me tell you about Ozark big bears, straight from my dad's mouth. Dad's lived in the Ozarks for 58 years, and in that time only 2 things have managed to shake him, the challenges of fatherhood, and the big bears. According to him, the native black bears were hunted to near extinction between the 40s and 50s. To correct this, the ANRC, NRCS, and Arkansas Fish and Game Commission released 250 bears into the Ozark and Ouachita Mountains. Their website insists that they were all black bears. My dad insists that this is bullshit. According to him, more than a few of the bears released into the Ozarks had been brown bears, and that they had interbred with the few remaining locals and the reintroduced blacks. Thanks to a little phenomenon known as hybrid vigor, the resulting offspring were bigger and meaner than their parents, and, fuck me, were also fertile. When I asked him to prove it, he simply left the summer porch, went upstairs, and came back with a manila folder labeled BB. He pulled out a couple Polaroids and asked me to take a look. I saw a big, black and brown something rooting around behind a clothesline. Dad directed my attention to the clothesline about 50 feet away from us, strung between two poles about 5 feet 6 inches off the ground. The same clothesline in the picture. The something's shoulder was about a fart's length under the line, despite being in the goddamn background. I looked through the other pictures, one of them rooting in the trash, another barely concealed by trees, all of them slightly shaky. Detail was hard to come by, but I was convinced. I'm taking some classes at ATU until the 2nd, so no dice. But I'll try fig up and put my email in the options box so you can bug me about it then, in case I forget to make a thread or something. My dad told me 2 things about how to avoid getting my shit shredded by the big bears. 1. Big bears are stupid as shit, something to do with them Bane hybrids. This makes them more dangerous than other bears, because they ain't afraid of you. This also makes them smell like shit, and you'll smell them coming a mile off. If you smell a big bear, get inside and get upstairs, but take the shotgun first and some deer slugs. And 2, if you do see a big bear, and you ain't at home, or you ain't got a shotgun loaded with slugs, hide up a tree if you can. They're faster than you, and it ain't no use running. I tell you all this, because after 23 years I'd finally managed to prove my dad wrong about something. Well, half wrong. There's something in the Ozarks that match my dad's pictures of big bears, but whatever they are, they sure as fuck aren't bears. I would have stayed in that creek bed and waited for the something to fuck off on its business, but the light was already slanting through the trees, and as bad as my dad made big bears sound, I sure as tits didn't want to be stuck with a goddamned rabid one after dark. I instead opted to climb up the opposite edge of the creek bed. Had to scramble over some big rock outcroppings and half stand, half lean against the slope of a hill, but I figured that if anything that would be one more layer of protection against the something. I had gotten a few glimpses of the something over my shoulder as I climbed, but this was my first good look at it. I just fucking stared. Like I said in my previous post, this wasn't a fucking bear. It was bear-like, but not a bear. I've been into sci-fi my entire life, Heinlein-esque mods to my gas mask, and even got Barlow's Guide to Extraterrestrials from my awesome, late, stepmom, so when I saw the something for the first time, my fucking nerd brain immediately went, oh, a Sulador. Pig related. Except it wasn't. It looked like a Sulador, a grizzly bear, and a sloth had a 3-way on top of a garbage heap to make it. It had a long prognatha snout like a stubby-ass trunk, big angular shoulders, feet that looked like manhole covers covered in dirty matted fur, and a body like a furry blimp. Its fur was the same charcoal black/day-glow brown I saw in the pictures, and full of mats and clumps of dirt. I mean, I fucking stared at it, drinking in the details, trying to make fucking sense of what I was looking at for a solid 2.5 minutes, and it somehow hadn't noticed me. Jesus, these things were/dumb. I remember feeling a twinge of relief. If it hadn't noticed me trying to scrabble out of a rocky gully, it won't notice me sneaking away. That was when I farted. Fuck. My email is blank.com if you feel inclined to ask for pics a month from now. The something stopped, my breath stopped, my heart stopped. The only sound in those woods was my fucking fart echoing and the sound of my nose blistering under the something's odoriferous assault. Like slow mo, the thing turned its head, looked back at me, sniffed the air, and stood up. It had been shuffling around crouched low to the ground the entire time. What I had thought were shoulder blades were its fucking elbows. It could tie its shoes without bending down, but its paws probably would have crushed its Air Jordans to bits. They were like trash can lids. It sniffed the air again, and coughed/barked like it was asking me a goddamn question. Gorp. I swear on me mum, that's what it fucking sounded like, gorp. Be me. Be dumb fuck who doesn't listen to his dad. Be awkward cringe lord who fucking farts when he's trying to sneaky breaky away from a goddamn gorp. Aim for center mass. Fire. The bullet didn't thwack into the gorp, because hey, if you're gonna die might as well give your killer a stupid name in your head, right? As much as it thwump fed. There was a puff of dirt and hair when it thwump fed, and, bless my luck, the gorp flinched from the impact. Wait for blood. I guess that gorps are so covered in nasty flea-ridden hair mats that over time their poor hygiene gives them natural body armor because that thing didn't fucking bleed. What it did do was rear up and gorth at me, a low growl that my colon decided was a warning because it was producing bricks enough to construct a barricade. I worked the bolt and fired another shot, this time at its ugly sloth/bear/elephant face. This time it thwacked. So did the dirt a dozen feet to the fucker's left because it ricocheted off of its fucking skull. The gorp just stood there, staring at me, like it was too dumb to realize it could have stood in the stream bed and grabbed me by the face while I pelted it with useless bullet and shit myself. I yelled at it and fired a third shot in any direction at all, trying to scare it off. The gorp or gorth or big bear or whatever it was dropped to all fours, lurched toward me once, then did a 360 and shuffled away. It worked. I stood there until the sky turned from blue to orange before I snapped out of it and tactically retreated back home. When I got back, I told my dad everything. I probably should have mentioned that I was visiting him for a few days, oops. He could probably smell Big Bear on me, and it's no use lying to him. When I got to the part about what the big bears really were, he refused to believe me. Then he got pissed at me. Then he locked the doors and camped out upstairs for the rest of our visit. I had to fucking bring him beer from downstairs when we wanted to shoot the shit. The weird thing is, as scared as he was, and as weirded out as I was at seeing my dad as spooked as a kid who's seen a skeleton, I wasn't scared. I remember that very clearly. I wasn't scared. I guess you could say I was too/interested/ to be scared. If I was scared, I would have just bolted and I'd probably be typing this from inside a year-old gorp turd. If I had a guess, it'd probably be that the fucking Adderall I had popped kept me from switching into run home scared to mama's tit mode. Well, /k/, you probably stopped reading 2 posts ago, but that's how I met a gorp and lived. Opie, anon here. Have you considered that what you saw might have been a megatherium, or giant ground sloth? They got pretty big, its top size was 20 feet, had long arms, and their skin was full of interlocking bones that would have been like natural chain mail. As for the stumpy ass trunk, it may have either evolved one over time or might have had one all along. Soft tissues don't fossilize and skin impressions of the face have never been found. They lived in South America as recently as 10,000 years ago, so it's not that much of a stretch that a branch population could exist in the Ozarks today. Some pictures have surfaced that some people think indicate that giant ground sloths still exist in the Appalachians, a habitat not so different from the Ozarks. Here's the Virginia ground sloth picture. It kind of reminds me of your description. Just got back from the store and holy shit, anon. My fuck. My fuck. My fuck. That's a gorp. That's a gorp. If you slapped on a dinky taper trunk, stretched its arms out, and fed it till it swelled up like a curvy land whale, it'd be a gorp. Help my fuck, anon. Like, I'm a pretty paleo nerd, science brain/k/amando, but that never fucking occurred to me. For the last year or so, I've been convinced that I saw a weird Native American spirit monster, or an escaped government project, or one of those fucking skinwalkers that /x/ is always fapping on about, but holy tits. There are goddamn giant ground sloths living in the Ozarks. I gotta call my dad.
B17. Uncle is letting me stay at his old farm for the weekend. Just outside of this small town, relatively quiet and lonely place. Huge open fields, surrounded by woods, there's a grain silo and the barn with a few animals, chickens, 2 turkeys, a goat, even a peacock some fucking how. He drives into the city for the weekend to sleep with this girl he's into. Anon, I'm leaving you the place, just make sure to feed the animals once a day, and if you drink all the beer, pay for it, kinda winks at me. Cool uncle.jpg. Of course, invite friends, and some girls over for drinking and romantic country walks, also GoldenEye because fuck yeah. There's me, Eric, Robert, and Jeremy along with Ellie, Diana, and Jessica. Super into Diana, 8/10 Hispanic Asian chick, weirdest boner NA. So we start drinking, messing around in the garage. I tell everyone we should to the barn and get up in the top area and fuck around. We get up there, bring some food and some more beer, start talking, get in a big circle. Diana sits right next to me. Boner alert.avi. Everything's normal at first, we start sharing ghost stories. She starts telling us about La Llorona or whatnot, crying ghost lady. Mildly spoopy, but she has a cute little mouse voice so it loses atmosphere. Her head kinda falls on my shoulder. There's one of those hanging workman's lamp things lighting up the barn. I don't remember what they're called right now. Everyone's kinda silent, just thinking, sipping at their beer or murmuring. I start to smell this disgusting smell like rotten meat dipped in perfume. It was sick but sweet. I push it off as dead mice or something stupid. I was kind of an idiot at 17, still am kek. Put my arm around Diana, ask if anyone wants more beer, offer to go back to the house to get it. Sure, faggot one of my friends, probably Robert. Get up, brush myself off and head for the ladder to get down. The fucking ladder is missing. Too annoyed to be scared, turn, and ask who messed with the ladder. Everyone looks genuinely mystified at the missing ladder, shrug, decide it probably fell down and I can't see it. Figure I'll just drop through the hole, brace myself for the drop and put the ladder back up on the way back. I get to the edge of the hole, smell that gross fucking smell again and almost stop, but don't wanna look like a pussy, drop my feet through the hole, start to lower myself down when I feel something wet smack against my exposed ankle. Pushed myself back up so fucking fast with the bitchiest yelp I've ever made or heard, scramble away from the hole. What's up fag? Probably fucking Robert again, wasn't in the mood. Either the turkeys have super long, wet necks now or there's someone down there that grabbed my leg, very funyanon.bmp. I'm fucking serious, assholes. I kick my leg out to show them where the guy or whatever touched me. There's this brownish, reddish goop on my ankle, it's sticky and smells like that rotted meat put on display at a department store from before. What is that anon? One of the girls asks. I have no idea, so I shake my head. Tell them I'm gonna chill up here for a bit and someone else can head down if they want. Eric gets up to take a look, but is obviously frightened as fuck like he should be. That smell is hanging around, thick and cloying. He looks down the hole to the ground level and backs away slowly. That's when we hear it. Who the fuck wished later? Everyone freezes. Ellie is all over Eric now, everyone's too afraid to move. The voice was flat and slow, like some sort of fucking mongoloid trying to figure out how to into words. It keeps repeating it, the sound slowly changing over time. We're huddling up together, everyone's here so we know it's no one fucking with us and my uncle doesn't have any neighbors for miles. Who fucked with the ladder? Everyone turns to look at me. That was my fucking voice, what the fuck? Shake my head vigorously and realize the creature was practicing with my voice and is now saying other things in my voice, catching onto the speech way more quickly than before. None of us have cell phones because this is the late-ish 90s, so we couldn't really call the cops or anything. We're all just kind of huddled together, trying not to talk because hearing it say things we have is extremely disconcerting. Silently thankful it was stupid enough to remove the ladder. The smell starts to fade slowly, and I figure it's gone by the time the stench is gone. Get balls of steel out of nowhere, decide we should all drop down and make a break for the house. Everyone sort of agrees. Jeremy and Jess don't want to be left alone so they end up agreeing. The 8 of us all collect around the hole and take a peek. We don't see anything but some smears of that reddish brown goop on the floor. Push it to the back of my mind, decide I'll go first, drop down, wave everyone down. We were all sort of uncoordinated and fucked up from what beer we'd had, but thankfully it wasn't much. Everyone's down in a few moments. We grab hands like 5-year-olds and start to walk to the house at a brisk pace, not wanting to draw its attention and not wanting to trample each other like retards. We hear this wet fucking smack on the concrete floor of the barn. Fuck this, nope, done. Everyone starts to run, barely holding each other's hands. My hand slips from Diana's for a moment, but a strong, warm hand grabs it again and no one calls out like they're lost. All 8 of us return to the house. Wait. 8? Me, Eric, Jeremy, Robert, Diana, Ellie, Jessica. That's Sev. Everyone seems to realize this and nopes the fuck out, looking at everyone else. There were only 7 of us again. I want to puke when I realize it wasn't Diana's hand I grabbed the second time. But for some reason it didn't follow us into the house. Maybe it wasn't a fan of late 70s decor, I don't fucking know. We scramble through the living room. I stop and grab my uncle's compound bow and a few arrows from the display cabinet for some reason. As if I'm gonna knock a fucking arrow and kill this fucking X-Files motherfucker when I haven't gone hunting in over a year. Everyone piles up into the kitchen. It's raised up and away from the living room and kind of looks out onto it, where the main door is. I sit and watch over the sink, fingers fucking trembling, barely able to hold the fucking $1,000 bow in my hand. Might as well be a paperweight. We hear this wet smacking and thudding against the front door, the screen door shaking as well. It's asking in my voice and others now to be let in, slowly stringing together words from other sentences it heard to make its own. It stops after a while and we start to calm down. I go to find the phone. While I'm doing this, I hear this soft tapping on glass. I freeze and I spin around. This jerking, twisting amalgamation of flesh, wearing a mix of all of our faces, is tapping almost politely at the sliding glass door of the patio. I lose my shit and almost go to draw and shoot, but something tells me it can't enter the house without being invited. I inch away slowly. Its eyes are following me up to the kitchen, and it stares at me, just tapping and tapping. We all keep a watch, but it can't really do anything, so it jerks, slithers, shifts away and tries the front door again. It continues into the light of the morning. We all said fuck it the next day. I left the bag of feed open for all the animals and we drove to Robert's house and camped out in the basement for Saturday and Sunday. My uncle acted pretty weird when I brought it up, and moved out 2 months later. We never spoke again. I think he tried to sacrifice me to it or some fucking shit. In college, living in dorms. Huge building. Be chillin' in one of the lounges one night. The building is basically empty because Friday night and everyone's clubbing or some gay shit. Friend points out janitorial closet has been left open. Always wondered what's in there. Jump up and tread inside. There's plywood everywhere, very small room with nothing else but a ladder leading up to this crevice. Climb up because why not? Leads to what looks like a blown out hole in the wall. Peer inside, looks like a very short attic that goes across the entire building. Ellie bro, come check this out. Climb inside to allow friend to see. Insulation all over the place. Tons of random wooden beams. The end is not even in sight, it goes as far as the light from the entrance carries. Friend is fascinated, crawls up inside with me. The fuck are you doing, man? Let's explore this place anon. It's just a crawl space, dude. There's nothing to see. Ignores me, starts crawling away into the darkness. Crawl after him, don't want him to die from asbestos or something. Start getting a little creeped out as we go into the darkness. Paranoid I'm going to run into a spider web or worse. We are so far now we cannot see ourselves, only the light at the entrance. Something doesn't make sense. What's the point of this large empty attic type area if there's nothing in here? It's between floors. I don't know, man. Friend pulls out his cell phone and tums on the camera light. Rusty pipes everywhere, makes more sense now. Starts scanning the area, there's actually various different areas to explore. Suddenly hear a slam and the light from the entrance is gone. Nope. Friend covers phone light. Silence, we do not move. Hear nothing but the sound of pipes with water running through them. Wait a good minute. Friend reveals his light again and starts scanning it across the entrance. Nobody there, I guess they just closed the janitor closet door. Alright, now let's get the fuck out of here. Hold on anon, I want to check out what's behind that rubble. What rubble? Friend shines light over to something I didn't see before. A section of the crawl space that has been blocked off by pieces of plywood and clusters of insulation pushed up around it. Dude, there's literally nothing over there. I'm obviously spooked. Don't be a pussy, you pussy faggot shitlord. Friend continues to crawl towards the rubble. Have no choice, can't find my way back without a light. We reach the rubble and friend places phone on the ground with the light up. He just kind of pushes shit aside easily. Crawl inside. Turn another fucking corner. What the fuck? Dude, what? I side crawl so I can see what friend sees. I shit you not. Fucking bottles of piss everywhere. Holes in the ceiling in various spots. Light beams shining up through them. In the comber is a black sleeping bag. Friend slowly crawls into the area. We look down each hole. Each one is a different view of female rooms or bathrooms. Nope, nope. Points light in the other corner. Oh fuck no. Another identical sleeping bag, zipped entirely up. Could have very well been a dead body. Shovel propped up against the wall. Rope piled next to it. Friend starts backing up in shock. We start panicking. Rust on walls and floor, may be blood, we don't know. Friend knocks over bottle of piss. Fuck. That voice was not my friend. Came from the direction of the entrance. Friend is literally freaking out. Have no idea what to do. Use adrenaline Hulk strength to kick at one of the larger holes. Friend joins in. Not working fast enough. Hear someone scrambling in the crawl space getting closer. I grab shovel, friend snatches it and starts beating the shit out of the floor. Luckily part of it is plywood, of course. We literally jump into this chick's shower. Bathing shit falling everywhere. Maybe broken foot. Piss leaking from ceiling. We start yelling for help. Femanin from the dorm starts shitting herself. Femanin runs out into the hall screaming. I follow running on possibly broken foot. I look for friend. He was staring up at the hole but runs out with us. Find hall master or whatever the fuck and he's already calling the campus police. They scour the building. They never fucking find the guy. All of the janitors become suspect of invasion of privacy shit and illegally living in building. Friend and I spend the rest of the night with police filling out shit. Friend literally develops PTSD LOL. While talking to the police he describes what he saw while looking up at the hole. Supposedly a white guy that looked like he was on meth stuck his head out and said, "This is the gayest fucking thread I've ever seen in my life."